Good morning, good evening, hello. Hi from New Zealand. It is currently 30 at night, and I thought, why, what would be a good thing to do on a Friday evening? There'd be nothing better to do than learn WebAssembly, which is this amazing technology that I keep hearing about, and I think is quite special. Who am I? Here we go. My name is Tim McNamara. I am in. Uh, this is a live stream. One of the benefits, you get to ask me questions, and also it's not scripted. So, um, very genuine approach. Going to be making mistakes, hopefully fixing them, uh, and so bear with me. So, if you are watching the recording though, there's still plenty for you to learn too. So feel free to just add comments, and every couple of days, get a paint and try to respond over as we go. Once the recording is up, I'll expand the description and add links to my Discord as well as Twitter and GitHub and so forth. And so there'll be more links over time. So yeah, I can see that there are all audio echo. Does anyone else hear an echo? Oh gosh, that's unfortunate. And I've got conflicting reports about an audio echo. I'll try to use a different mic and then change the settings. Go change the filter. Go. This. And then sound sometimes disappears. Right. Okay. That's possibly because I'm being slightly too aggressive with my filtering to get away from the background noise. So I'll just turn that one off as well. Things should have just changed. If you have any other issues with audio, it might be slightly too quiet. Okay. Most people seem to be happy or happy enough. I apologize if you are one of the few people in the minority of people who are unhappy. Hopefully you'll forgive me. Right. So let's get going. Where's the start button? Over here. Okay. So I've got 3 tools in my toolkit. This thing over here is my text editor. I have a web browser. You've probably seen such a device, such a thing before as well, already. And the third tool I've just hidden, which is not super useful, is just a command line prompt. So there's nothing in there at the moment. This is completely on the fly. We'll see. Audio sounds fine on my end. Well, thank you very much. Hopefully I can, so that's great. Okay, cool. So where am I? The first thing to think of, just in case, I'll just post this in the chat, in case you want to follow on yourself, is at the Rust WASM book. So if I just do a search, like a quick search for Rust and WebAssembly, right. Okay, so I'll get this ugly thing. This is just we'll get bumped here. So this is kind of the introduction for people who are looking to learn Rust, as well as potentially WebAssembly at the same time. So, or at least, let's start. Who is this book for? This book is for anyone interested in compiling Rust to WebAssembly, and that's me because I know a little bit of Rust and I know less WebAssembly. So let's see. Okay. Now, how do I navigate? I always hate these things. So we're going to be working through this tutorial section. Who is the tutorial? We are going to implement Conway's Game of Life in Rust and WebAssembly. So hopefully I'm going to be able to show you what it looks like. We'll need Rust. I have that. We need this thing called WASM pack. So let's go there. WASM pack, I happen to know, is it's a tool that is able to. I'm just going to do the naughty thing and naively just shout like. Okay, great. That was a lot easier than I thought. Now I'm curious as to what it was that I actually executed. So I'll just pipe it into. There's a whole bunch of random stuff checking for dependencies. Who knows what it did? It went and downloaded the right thing. So the question is, well, what on earth is WASM pack? We'll find out as we go. It enables us to build a Rust crate and generate WebAssembly. And so that's good. Cool. So the other thing that it's the instructions are informing us to do is cargo install generate. So what this is going to enable us to do is eventually we will be able to generate a command. Whenever you see a crate that has cargo dash, it becomes a cargo plugin. Cargo is kind of the I guess it's the central package manager for Rust, and it becomes the build system. So what this is going to enable us to do is point to a public repository or like a public thing and like create a template project, which will be useful for us because effectively that's what we're doing. We're going to be taking a template, modifying it, and seeing if we can do the game of life. So that's cool. The other one that it wants is npm, and I'm pretty sure that I have npm. I'm just going to open up another terminal over here while it's npm install npm at latest and general, so which is the global install. Probably is going to ask for sudo, in which case I'll give it sudo access as well. So if you haven't ever used JavaScript or the JavaScript world, oh gosh, yes, it really does. So here's a neat trick. Sudo bang bang will execute the previous command under sudo. It's kind of like it's as much wizardry as I get. So we're still waiting for cargo to install cargo generate. So and I've got another error with npm. Oh no, that's the same one. Okay, added 255. That's a JavaScript world, so we have hundreds of packages even when we try to install one thing. That's great. Okay, so we're done. Oh, this is great. Okay, great. And now we have a command available to us once generate is up. Is it up? Is it up? Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Go, 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 go. 218 out of 220. Come on, I really want it. 220 out of 220. By the way, in case you were curious about what my host name is, Tim is more obvious, but Toho is a bird. So I name all of my computers after New Zealand native birds. I'm a bit of a bird nerd. Okay, cargo generate, and I kind of can't be bothered doing all the rest of it, so I'm just going to copy and paste. And project name, WASM game. I'm just going to call it WASM Life because it's shorter. So we just had a comment saying you can install it into a different prefix directory. You don't need to provide npm with sudo access, and that's very accurate. That's true. And I would urge you, in fact, if you were using JavaScript more regularly than I do, to do so. So so that's a very, very good point. So we're going to cd into WASM Life. Naturally, I've already started breaking the I've already started doing something that people are I'm going to move, actually, sorry, I'm just going to get out of this one and run it from the inbuilt terminal inside inside Visual Studio, and there's a reason for that, and the reason is that I will be able to toggle screencast mode, and then you will be able to see what I type. So you can also see when I click. font increase current view size. I'll do that again. I'll leave it. I'll stop playing with that and start doing the actual tutorial. That would be nice. Okay, so the what it's recommending is we look. Oh gosh. It's a new computer, you see. This won't take 3 or 4 minutes to install. I'm just going to install a little command that will make a pretty picture of the directory. The other thing that I could do is open up the file structure in here. So streaming, WASM Life, I'll open that up too. Yes, and I trust the author since that I am the author, although in some sense I'm not, because I use cargo generate. So what is in here? First thing is the most important thing is cargo.toml. So toml is a metadata description. You can see that it's populated my email address. It's given me a whole bunch of stuff that isn't explained in the tutorial, but I might explain it here if people would like to watch. cdylib stands for C Dynamic Library, and rlib is a Rust library. So it's actually building 2 libraries. The most important one, though, from the point of WASM, is actually cdylib, so the C Dynamic Library. This console error panic hook thing, I don't know what that means yet, but I will find out, I'm sure. So WASM BindGem is a tool that enables your Rust code to present itself to WASM, its types, like the Rust types, as things that JavaScript can use. Now, a console error panic hook, one assumes that, it provides a better debugging of panics when they occur inside the browser. That's nice. WeAlloc is a memory allocator, and the reason why, the reason it's explained why we'd want to do so, to use a different memory allocator, is that it's only 1 kilobyte in size, whereas the default is about 10 kilobytes. However, it's slower. So if you want to have fast downloads, you can use WeAlloc. If you want fast speed at runtime, you use the default. Okay, so now let's get into some actual JavaScript code. Oh, I've just had a couple of people say hi, so that's nice. Hi, Christopher. Hi, CyberElf. It's nice to see everybody. Feel free at any time to ask questions. I haven't even really started. We're just kind of providing a little bit of context, and the website that I'm working through is in the link in the comments. And if you have any questions, just ask. Okay, great. I will try to look at them. If I miss, I'm sorry. Okay, so surprisingly, or perhaps not surprisingly, my source lib directory, the source file looks exactly the same as, it doesn't. Or does it? Yeah, no, it looks pretty close. We've got mod utils, WASM BindGen, an alloc thing. That's if we're using the alloc feature. WASM bind. Yep. Okay. Good. That's all the same. The only thing that our project can do at the moment is add an alert into the browser, which I guess is a perfectly fine thing to start off with a JavaScript project like Hello World. Well, in fact, because it's Conway's Game of Life, let's say hello Conway. I think he recently died. So it's instructing us to run wasmpack build. So we'll do so. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Okay, let me explain what's happening. We've got this stuff down the bottom that, and I apologize if you can't read. I'll just try and take away the sidebar and appearance of the activity bar. I don't need that. Okay, and I've got okay. First, we needed to download. We needed to be able to download a component that enables Rust to compile for WebAssembly. And now we've got some other stuff happening. We compiled some code, so that's the Rust library itself. and we're getting a warning. I can probably get rid of that, I'm pretty sure, later. And now, now WASM bindgen is working or is available. Optional fields are missing, that's okay. Done. Your WASM pack is ready to publish in WASM Life package. Okay. What's that? I bet it's just a zip file. It's not just a... Okay, so it's some JavaScript and some TypeScript and WebAssembly and some more JavaScript. So it's just a bunch of JavaScript. That's fun. Okay, that's easy. And we've got a description about what it is. So it's a kickstart. Great. Okay, cool. Oh look, and there's the so what's inside package. It wasn't a zip file. We have a metadata thing, which is package.json, which explains to the world what the package offers and so forth. And what do we have there? Oh, some more descriptions. That's nice. Thank you. Now let's put it into a web page. This is the next step. Okay, right. Let's take our package and use it as a web page. We use the create WASM app JavaScript project template. Run this command within the Game of Life directory. Okay, so that's where I am. I cheated and only called my project WASM Life, not WASM Game of Life. So npm init WASM app dub. Okay to proceed? Yes. Oh, Rust and WASM equals love. That's cute. Okay, so and now we've got a new directory which is in dub over here, and there's a description about what all those files do. I don't really care about any of them. All I want to see is a web page at the moment. Noting that the only thing that my library can actually do is say hello Conway. It's the only thing that that we've actually told WASM what to do. In fact, so although there is a little bit of smarts in here, so extern is saying to Rust that there is a function called alert somewhere in the world, in the JavaScript land, and you can call that function. So you can provide alert a string, and then JavaScript will get it right. Interestingly, maybe, but because it's extern, actually this wants to be unsafe. No, why is it unnecessary unsafe? That's weird that it's telling me that it needs to be unsafe, and yet it... See, I have like one of the Rust analyzer is telling me that I've got a missing unsafe. I add the unsafe, and then I get something else complaining that it's unnecessary. Okay, whatever. I should stick to the actual tutorial. Okay, right. Okay, rather than use WASM package, we want to use a local package. This will allow us to incrementally develop our Game of Life program. Open up package.json. Okay, that's this file here, and add, and next to dev dependency, so add the dependencies field. Huh? Oh, okay. Including a WASM Game of Life file package entry. I'm gonna get this wrong. I just know it. Why am I intimidated? Add this 3 lines block. What? Is it here? I probably shouldn't have changed the the actual package name, because now I can't just copy and paste. I've got to... Now the thing that's confusing me a little bit is dev dependent, saying that I've got to add this line, dev dependencies, but it's clearly right there. So does that mean that I'm in the wrong place? Now, well, you can find out. I mean, the computer is just going to say, sorry, sir, I do not know how to do this for you if it gets it wrong, or if I've got it wrong. Next, modify the Game of Life index file and instead of hello WASM package, and import WASM game of life instead of the hello WASM pack. Oh, okay, right, okay. So WASM game of life. Ah, right. So we're trying to replace this with this, I think. So on line 33, we've got hello WASM pack, and instead we're trying to replace whatever the greeting with WASM life. Okay. So dub. I might add some contrast so that people on the stream can watch. Oh gosh. Color theme. Get a color theme that has more. That's better. I'll just use the default one. So now people can read what I can read. Import star. So I need to get into www index.json. index.js, and then instead of importing from hello WASM pack, I need to import from hello life. Okay. Since we declared a new dependency, we need to install it. Okay. Do I do that from the root? I'm going to try and doing it from dub. It's doing its magic. Okay. Riifying. That's a lovely word. I don't think I've ever used Riify in a sentence. Oh, and naturally there are 21 security vulnerabilities. That's perfect. The thing I love about the JavaScript community is that you try one thing and suddenly you've got 1,000 packages and oh, okay. I should stop moaning. Okay, our web page is now ready to be served locally. Okay, good. How do I do that? npm run start. Is it going to work? Ta-da! Compiled successfully. That's exciting. Open a new window. There it is. I need to go to localhost 8080. Here I am. Hello, Conway! All right. Rock on. I don't yet have yeah, Firefox definitely looks better now. Okay, modify the greet function and to take a name, customize the alert message and pass your name to greet. I don't need to bother about that. I know how to do that. I know. So what it's saying, yeah, okay. No, I'm just gonna skip because I want to see game of life. I want to see game of life on the screen. Okay, if you're already familiar, skip this section. Okay, we'll do it quickly. I mean, I've been spending so long mucking around. Life, you would have seen. It's this. We'll get a preview. This is bound to be a ridiculous. So we start with a couple. I'm sure we're just going to get ridiculous. The overly dramatic music. I apologize. I can hardly hear it, which is weird. let's go and do something. Oh, here we go. This looks important. This is one of the most important concepts to understand and to take away from the tutorial. Oh, in fact, I've already read the tutorial, so I know what they're talking about. So I'm just going to skip there and we'll go back. Sorry, it jumped out at me. The language here is complex. So these two paragraphs are important, but I don't think they're very well written for beginners. So I'm going to read this about 4 times. JavaScript's garbage collected heap, where objects and so JavaScript and WASM live in like 2 separate worlds. And what it's saying here is that they can't talk, they can't see inside each other. So when we talk about garbage collected heap, we mean in JavaScript land is distinct from WebAssembly's linear memory space. What that means is JavaScript land is different from a JavaScript object does not live inside WebAssembly. WebAssembly cannot inspect the JavaScript objects or the DOM or anything like that. We can ignore the proposal for interface types. JavaScript, on the other hand, can read and write to WebAssembly linear memory, but only as an array buffer of scalar values, U8s, I32s, F64s. Okay, so what does this mean? JavaScript can inspect and actually modify values inside WebAssembly land over here, but it only knows about integers. It only knows about primitive types. It doesn't actually know about a string. Or objects, for example. So, or function calls. Like all of this sort of stuff is like that are like these higher order objects. When I say higher order in a slightly loaded sense, what I mean is things that are more sophisticated than just numbers. To enable those to be communicated across the boundary needs some extra sophistication, which is what WASM BindGen does. So if I go back to the JavaScript library, the Rust code, you can see here that I have got these attributes around these functions which ask WASM BindGen to do some work for us. So WASM BindGen is saying, and over between lines 11 and 14, that there is a function in JavaScript land that you can call with a string, and you could do so, and that will be happy. And over here, it's saying that please expose a function called greet that that JavaScript can call, and what you'll do is call a JavaScript function back. So that's what we're all saying. So that's, now that we're going to go back, now that we've explained the most important concepts, I can now that we've explained the most important concepts, I can go back to the start of the chapter. The game of life is played in an infinite universe, but we do not have an infinite memory, and therefore we need to we've got some trade-offs to make. There are typically 3 trade-offs when people implement life. 1, keep track of which subset of the universe has interesting things. That is, like when any of the keep track of what's changing, and expand the region as necessary. So if there are live, I guess, objects or inside a particular region, then kind of follow the memory along. We don't actually need to represent the blank universe in in memory itself. Okay, we could create a fixed size universe, and as things fly off the edge, they just disappear. That's a bit sad. Otherwise, we can create what's called a fixed size periodic universe. So this is very similar to the Asteroids arcade game from like the late 70s and 80s. Like a bullet will fly to the top and then appear at the bottom. And so that means that we can kind of emulate infinity by just kind of what is actually, turns out it's like a really interesting geometric shape. It's a torus, but yeah. Okay. let's not distract ourselves even further with stuff like that. Okay, right. So what have we got? We have JavaScript's collected heap, BindGen, boundary, well, boxing. Okay, so what is WASM BindGen doing? defines a common understanding of how to work with compound structures across the boundary between JavaScript land and WASM land. It involves boxing. What is boxing? Boxing is basically sending a not abstraction. It's an analogy. It's just using pointers, which is like, well, I can explain it if people have questions. So I'll allow people to ask questions of what the heck is boxing. And over here in the editor, I can do something like a box would be so this concept of having a boxed value is it takes whatever its argument is at new and creates a pointer that refers to the inner value. So we don't pass the inner values around itself. We only pass the thing that can refer to the inner value. Okay, so WASM binding is very convenient, but does not remove the doesn't. Okay, so I'm back. WASM binding is very convenient, but it does not remove the need to consider our data representation and what values and structures are passed across the boundary. So what this text is trying to hint at now is that it's expensive to send things from Rust to JavaScript. It's not free, even though the data is in the same computer, they're very isolated from each other, and there's a lot of bookkeeping that needs to go on to enable that. So when designing an interface between WebAssembly and JavaScript, we want to optimize for the following properties. 1. Minimizing copying into and out of the WebAssembly linear memory. Ignore the term linear memory for now. Into and outside of WebAssembly. Unnecessary copies impose unnecessary overhead. Point 2 is minimizing serializing and deserializing. So this is if you've got objects and so forth that refer to other objects, they need to they're in a very hierarchical structure, or in some sense maybe even cyclic, and they need to be laid out in a single line, because the only thing that WASM can provide is this array buffer, which is like a single unified a uniform array of bytes. Okay, it's very, very soon we are going to get to do a little bit of mathematics about how we can implement a 2D infinite space inside a single array. So we get Rust implementation, we cloned an original template, we will modify the template. It's beginning by removing alert and import. Removing the import and replacing them with type definition for cells. Okay, so we can do so. I guess we'll get rid of this sentence. We don't need that anymore, and it's told us that we're getting rid of greet. So sorry, we're not going to be greeting anybody anymore. So I'm just going to take the trouble of actually typing this out so that I can explain what it is, in case you haven't seen much Rust. Okay, so the first thing to note is that in enum, if you've only used, say, Java or most every other mainstream language, this looks very conventional. You're just assigning a constant to like an enum value. It turns out in Rust you can that isn't usual. That isn't the common case. But here we need to be very, very precise, and we're trying to minimize things. So we ask Rust, please compile this with a representation of a U8, which is a single byte. We also need to add it in our annotation, which is WASM bindgen, which says that this is a type that WASM bindgen needs to be able to provide to JavaScript. And derive clone, copy, debug, partial equality, and equality. That's good. Then it's important that we have repro U8 so that single byte. Now we need to define our universe. So in this instance, I'm just going to copy it out as well. It's a little bit faster. And there's less interesting stuff to worry about. We've got a vec of cell, so a list of cells in our universe, and we have, they're all defined as U32s, so a 4-byte integer. So you can have basically up to, we could have a width of 4 billion and a height of 4 billion. Now it says to access the cell at a given row, we need to translate the row and column into a cell, into the vector. So we need to move from 2D space into 1D space. So let's do so. In Rust, you use these things called impl blocks to add methods to. To add methods to types. Now I dislike using getters in Rust, or in fact almost anywhere in the world. So I'm going to change what they recommend I do. This is probably going to cause me problems later. Now, if you haven't used Rust, this usize thing is the size of a pointer inside the CPU architecture that you are compiling for. Interestingly, at this point in time, WASM is only supports 32 bits. Well, that means even though you're on a 64-bit computer, your usize will be 32 bits in width. So it turns out that usize and U32s are exactly the same width, but for kind of obscure technical reasons, Rust can only use usize values to index vectors. Now again, I wouldn't use the same conventions for naming, but I guess I need to, I could, U32, just checking on the, if anyone has any questions or would like to add any comments, please do so. You're more than welcome. And because we know that there are very few, any neighbor can only have 1, 2, 3, 8. Any position can only have 8 neighbors. We don't need a U32 which is able to hold how many? It can hold 4 billion. A U8 can hold 256. So for delta row, that's an interesting. I could probably copy this out, but it's always worthwhile, I find, with tutorials to actually take the time to write it out. Self height -1. So we're going through all the positions that that could be a neighbor, and we're checking. So the delta is just the change from the initial position. So we've got the initial position, which is row and column. Self height is up here in the universe, and and if you follow the text of the tutorial, it will actually show you. It explains why it's using the things that it is. It's very, very difficult to talk and type at the same time. I don't know if anyone else has tried this. Okay, so it may wonder why on earth we need a little bit of bureaucracy that over here with iter and cloned. I might as well spend a little bit of time explaining what's going on here. So an array, awkwardly enough, is not able to be iterated over straight away. it turns out that in order to get something that it functions within a for loop, we need to call an edit method. It sounds a bit silly. It kind of is. Now, cloned is just a copy, and the reason why we're copying here is that it simplifies Rust's rules around access. Rust will refuse to enable two parts of the code to access the same thing at the same time. And so cloning creates duplicate copies, but it does simplify the code, especially for beginners, because we don't have to worry about what we call lifetimes. So this is, or at least we worry about it less directly. We do incur a couple of nanoseconds extra time per operation, because we need to actually clone the data, and that takes nanoseconds, so that's pretty tough. Row plus delta row, and then we use a modulus operator, self.height, and I'm just going to copy this one across. And hey, thank you very much, Debbie. That's a really nice comment. It always feels very kind of slightly odd when one talks to themselves. I wonder what the rest of the people in my household think when they hear me, and I'm continually mistyping things, so that's positive. I should learn to touch type. I've never done it. Oh, does anyone? There are these people that know how to type with like 200 words a second, 200 words per minute, and I don't know how to get faster than about 80. Oh, and I'm getting in trouble with American spelling versus British spelling. So now I have the index, and I can count +1. Oh, interesting. Okay, so what it's doing is, because we know that cell, the way that this is working is because we know that cell, when they're alive, is 1, we can just provide we just use addition. We don't have to check, is it alive? Well, then if so, increment the integer. We just, look up where our neighbors are and then add them to the count. Now, I'm very surprised though that this is necessary, this as U8, because the repo U8, although I think from the type system's perspective, it's an enum. So the Rust type system will believe, oh, okay, well, alive is actually alive and alive. So we'll see this as, it's a cell alive, and we're converting it into a U8. Right, okay, good. So we go through, why is this unhappy? Associative function without a body. Please provide a that doesn't make any sense. I'll save it. Can't compare a U32 with an integer. Well, that's not fair, because it can do it over here. I must have made a mistake. I'm going to cheat and copy, even though I said that I type things up by full. Oh, I said cloned instead of... No either get index or reference. Oh, right, and I changed the name of index. Because I don't like getters. And self cells is singular, it should be plural. My mic is noisy. Oh, I apologize that my mic is noisy. I don't, this is actually a new computer. I haven't set up my my sound properly. I've just got my daughter. She's actually have quite a bad... Oh. Hopefully you can hear me now and there's less stuff happening. I might also need to pause or maybe cancel the stream. I just had a 3-year-old coughing. She's very sick. So now the last one is public methods exported to JavaScript. Okay. So, okay, apologies for the audio. I must have misclicked something. And so I apologize. So thanks very much for raising it. No doubt there are people who have given up. But let's kind of push on. So we've got a different thing here. So we've got some internal, so index and live neighbor count are internal just to Rust. Oh, and that's not spelled correctly. Yeah, she's a wee sweetheart. If you weren't internet strangers, I would send you lovely photo. I'd spam you with photos of my little girl. She's really wonderful. We're also going to add some public methods. Public function tick. And a tick is going to be when X generation of the game goes on. So it's you could just say like it's taking a new turn. Interestingly, we are cloning the whole array, and then we are going to for row. Yeah, we're going to operate on a copy, and then I'll probably update it in place. Right. Okay. So instead of mutating in place, we are going to take a clone and do all the updates, and then update what JavaScript has. That way, we don't get like kind of weird flickering behavior inside the browser. I think that's why they did it this way, because we do have mutable access to self. Now, don't mind all these error messages. Getting very confused because the return types are broken. So I'm just going to return. Oh, actually, I'm not. I'll just self cells equals next. It's a little bit why expected end of. Okay, right. Okay, so now the return types are happy at least. So it should start to break. Okay, for row, for column, in self width, let index as self, and we've changed this. Index row column. So the index, by the way, just we are converting between 2D space and 1D space. Our universe is stored in 1D space. So the current cell is self is in self cells IDX. That's great. How many live neighbors do we have? Well, we just created our function. Live neighbor count. Keep getting hit with. See, this is weird though. We have. I almost feel like. Okay. Don't play with them. I should stop touching things. I didn't like that. I need to give it row and cell, even though I calculated index. Match cell. So the next cell are live neighbors, And then if we are alive, oh, so this is the implementation of and of the rules. So you remember from several minutes ago, if you do if the spelling mistakes, and my spell checker is probably these are the implementation of the rules of the game of life, and I'm just going to shrink the screen a bit because so if we have fewer than two neighbors, then we die. So that means that we are by ourselves and we survived or something. So if we, I'm just going to do something. I shouldn't touch it, but I will. So in practice, that means 0. So there are no alive neighbors, or 1. I find that one a little bit simpler than what the current syntax is. Oh, all right, I see. Maybe I need to do this. See, then it will at least match. So fewer than 2. Okay, and then, sorry. Oof. Now we don't actually need, so if we have 2 or 3, we stay alive. I wonder if that, and if we're alive and there are more than 3, we die. And I think that I can actually get away with 3 ... I wonder if that will allow me to do so. Oh, you know what I'm going to try? And that is, and again, I shouldn't bother, but I32 max. I wonder if that, I'm curious as to whether or not Rust will allow me to do this. And because what I'm trying to say is that if it's greater than, I don't really like the guard syntax what they're using over here. We can use the guard syntax if we really have to, but I just find it a little bit ugly. And I wish that I wasn't so influenced, I suppose, by stylistic choices. Whatever, I'm a human being. Now, if this cell is already dead and there are 3 alive neighbors nearby, it suddenly becomes alive. Otherwise, doesn't matter how many neighbors it has, it stays the same state. I wonder even why, I guess. This is not what it needs. This is not how I would have written this. But I should stop moaning about this. I was going to say that we could potentially use continue statements, but the reason why they haven't done used continue, for example, where it's currently alive and it stays alive, is that actually, why is it not just continuing? See, I would put a continue here because there's no need to change. Otherwise, continue. The only things that you need to worry about, because we have a clone of the cells, there's no update. We only care when it changes its state. That's the only time we actually need to update. We'll see. We'll see very soon if the yeah, we'll see really, it didn't like the syntax at all, and maybe it did. I had a type problem, so that was use exclusive range is experimental. Okay, you can do this. Okay, so why did they not do that here? Oh, it's irrelevant. So we 0 to 1, 2 to 3. Just, I should stop bike shedding on their code. I'm sure it's great. I'm sure there's no functional. I guess they're trying to write simple Rust, whereas, you know, I look at some Rust and I'm like, I really want this to look I'd be a little bit nicer. So there you go. There are the rules, and there's my implementation. Now I have taken the assumption that if I've changed some code because we've cloned we've cloned cells, and so there's only a need to update there's only a need to update it if it's changed. We don't need to assign index a new variable if there's no change. But I'm sure someone will point out my my logic bug. By the way, I can tell that people are concerned about my kid, and that's sweet. She's fine now. She's fine. She's with mum. She's with mama. We had a problem last night, actually, at about 1 a.m. We took her to, well, actually I didn't. Mama took her to ED, the emergency department of hospital. So she's not asthmatic, but she did come home with some Ventolin, so it's like an inhaler. Oh, interestingly spelled neighbors with a U here. I wonder if there were two editors. Okay. I can kind of also get a sense that people are commenting around the police and stuff in the chat, and like, let's not get stroppy with each other. Otherwise, I'll just start blocking people. Like, if we get people that are grumpy with each other, I will kick. Okay, right. So I actually really want to see world now. And by implementing display, we can also write okay. This is fun. What it's going to say is that there's a lot of syntax, and there's a cheap way for us to go right now. That when you're dead, you've got an empty square, and when you're alive, you are a filled up square. I'm just going to copy that in. I know that I said that I wouldn't. Sorry. And the other one is universe, public methods. Okay, so that's up here. We've got a new method which creates a universe, and I'm going to cheat and copy that in, and I'll go through it really quickly. So we start with a 64 by 64 universe. I'm going to go 128 because, you know, I'm changing everything else. So my life can be twice as well. See, it's 4. I doubled the site. And so doubling each, it's 2D world, so it's times by 4. That was a very bad high school geometry fail on my part. I apologize. And I've got this render function which takes a universe and tells JavaScript how to display it. With that, half of our Game of Life implementation is complete. recompile it to WebAssembly by running WASM back build. Okay. Oh, I'm still actually within which directory? The game of life. And so again, because I'm me, I changed the name of the project. Unclosed delimiter. There we go. That's classic McNamara. lib140. Oh, that's very weird. I don't believe that. I don't know why. Why do I have a main? Which file? Source lib rs140. No, it doesn't. Look. It does not have a main. Why? Oh, there's a main here. What? I don't know. Okay, great. So I got a lot of I've got a lot of issues. I'm just checking because it probably is a problem. This one is a problem. I need to be able to refer to a column and a column. And done. Otherwise, unused variable, that's okay. This range overlaps. That's actually a very handy comment. I just want to double check. So if it's over 3, so yep, no, thanks Rust, very helpful. And if it's unintentional, it isn't unintentional per se, but I'm just going to use 2 underscores. Oh no, we'll keep it as otherwise. I mean, we'll keep it as otherwise just for fun, right? Set panic. Oh, okay, great. I don't know what that means yet. Hopefully, I will find out. Okay, so we now have a package. Our package has been updated. Oh, that looks fun. And we need to change our JavaScript code at the top of our web. So we've got www, index.js. We've got Greet. Greet no longer exists. Import universe from as WASM. So we can import our type. Also use. All right, I see. So this is. I think I've skipped something. I've skipped some HTML, but okay, rendering first. Okay, have to go back. Okay, first let's add a pre, and to kind of give a space for the our game of life to be rendered into. So I will go to index.html. This package contains WebAssembly and JavaScript. I'll leave no script in there because that's a nice message, although it's not super relevant for me right now. This pre thing is what we really need, and we should add some styling to it. And I'll throw in some CSS, that's useful. Okay, and I've got, now I can go back to the JavaScript file, and I've got a render loop function which renders the universe, it calls tick, and then request annihilation from render. So I assume that requesting an animation to start the rendering process or the initial call. Where does that done? So this request animation frame is telling JavaScript that it needs to update the browser, I assume, but I don't know where to put this one. I'm just going to put it in the bottom. And we'll see where we get to. Okay, so make sure now we need to go into www and then run npm run start. And I'm creating my development server again. If I go over here into the web browser and go to localhost 88, oh, holy moly. I've got something, but I've definitely got my logic broken. That's really cool though. I'm going to make it smaller again, just because I probably just going to make a little baby universe. 64 by 64. Now if I hit save, now how do I need to build it and then, oh gosh, back in there. I feel like there should be a better way to do the workflow. Okay, so I've definitely broken the logic. That's unfortunate. I probably should have just copied. I shouldn't have mucked around. Ah, Tim. Classic. Classic Tim. So I'm just going to copy the business logic and hang my head in shame that I was not able to implement the... by the way, I've just had a request for a WASM book. I would be pumped. I'd be absolutely ecstatic. Well, no, I'm going to kind of give myself some time. Instead of just writing... so if you don't know who I am, I wrote this book called Rust in Action, which has been a very good seller, actually. It's not going to buy my house. It's not going to buy the house from the bank. Still got the home loan there, but it's because yeah, right. So so I think your comment there, Ross, is correct, that I was cheating by not assigning to next cell, and I made the assumption that when the cell didn't change, so for example in this line 92 here, I've got alive and alive, it stays alive. Now it's possible, yeah, and it's possible I got that wrong. So I'm just going to, I find this workflow a little bit clunky. So I pack build and then I cd into cd www and then I run npm run start. So I'm doing all the compiling and then I'll go back, and if I run, oh, it's the same thing. So it wasn't a logic problem, but it's definitely a problem. I wonder if it's an initial, like that. If I make it bigger, no. And is this even 32 by 32? I don't believe it is. What if I just do 8 by 8? I think I'm not going to be able to fix this on stream. I feel like it's some stupid little tiny error that is actually going to be ridiculously difficult to figure out. And I'm quite irritated because I would really like to figure it out. Where's the new method? Okay. If I just make a little baby universe, so let's just say 16 by 16. I think actually what might be happening, no. Oh, you know what I could also do is, okay, so the baby universe is still having the same problem. This is a pretty boring tutorial, isn't it? It's like, oh, this guy sucks. Why did that break? Look, I'm not sure, and unfortunately, if I spend a lot of time figuring it out, I bet I will just bore. I really want it to look a lot more like the way that it looks on the thing. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna call the stream there, because even though I got so close, I didn't quite get there. I really want to figure out where it is that I made this mistake. Or maybe I could kind of treat. Maybe it's in this. Maybe it can't count its neighbors correctly. And I'll just copy in. That looks different. Oh, does it? Maybe it's just formatting. Oh, not found. Oh, get index again. Sorry. Creator's missing cover. Oh gosh. Oh, it's flashing. Hey, awesome. That's so cool. I mean, I'm simple pleasures and everything, but that's neat. That's satisfying. That's kind of that's really fun. Now, cool. Great. Oh, awesome. Oh, that's really if I run it again, oh, it initializes in the same way. Oh, okay. Right. So and that's what the that's what the new method had. Okay, so the reason why, okay, so maybe I'll carry on. I mean, we're getting towards 11 p.m. here, so I probably can't stay on stream forever. But I can stay on stream, but no, I'm a little more satisfied that I am a decent human now. I won't give up and have a cry before going to bed. And also, just while we're here, since I'm gonna replace what I find quite yucky code to make what I think is quite nice code. I mean, nicer. I'm gonna just validate to myself that I can still code in Rust. That would be nice. Oh, what did I do there? Why am in log.js over there? I don't know. Oh, interestingly, by the way, when the server isn't running, it still works because oh no, maybe there were two bugs. Okay, fine. Proven wrong. Able to connect. Right. Okay, I'm just gonna leave. There's a better rendering. I should stop playing. Okay. Okay, what is next? I'll just kind of keep this going because it's fun. And the next one is to improve the rendering so that we're not actually sending strings backwards and forwards. We can instead, it wanted some, the CSS should actually be making it less rubbish. But I'll just push on. We can render in the canvas and which will hopefully be a little bit more attractive and also faster. So it's firstly recommending that we change our index.html to instead of having this pre, we will inject a canvas element, and canvas is going to have the same ID, which is game of life canvas. Yep. Okay. And oh, npm was listening. That's nice. Thanks. And to get the necessary information, we need to add some more getter methods. So that's fine. We can do that. I'm just going to copy this in. They're too simple to really bother with. So to add methods to an object, we need to first remember that these are the public ones. So they are dealt with within sort of the WASM bindgen, and they're not the internal methods. And I'll put it after render for some strange reason, width, height, and cells. And you'll notice the other thing is that that the cells is being sent across the boundary just as a pointer, like, which is a strange syntax of star const. This is what I previously referred to as being a boxed thing, and it turns out that there's not a lot of difference. I wonder if we'll find out if it will complain here. I think this into method converts whatever it is that you've got into type T, and which is like the box cell. So I'm pretty sure that it will be able to handle this. I might try and avoid introducing more bugs into the code though, so I'm slightly wary of that. Index.json, okay, some more constants. So we need to bring in cell into our code, and some more constants up the top. We're just going to get some pretty colors if you've got a better suggestion for now. And let's rewrite the rest of the code so it no longer writes to the pre-text content, but instead draws into the canvas. Okay. And again, I'm going to ignore what I said before, which is just because time's kind of pushing on. First thing that I do, we're getting rid of this pre. We don't care about it, so we'll just delete the pre element in the DOM. We need to add two extra constructs. We've got a universe, a height, and a width. And instead we need a canvas. So we're replacing canvas with height. We do a little bit of arithmetic because we need to multiply the cell size by the number or the height of the actual universe itself. We need a canvas context. Instead of we're rendering into 2D here, and then we're rendering in there's our render loop. So the render loop, we tick, which is updating the universe's state. We draw the grid, we draw some cells, and then we request animation. Now draw grid and draw cells, here we go, exist later on. Where should we define them? Just thinking about the code. Put them up here. They feel like helper methods. I feel like actually I don't really want a grid. But again, I'll just stop. Now we can access. So it says providing a feature. So we're trying to draw cells here. Now, in order to draw cells, we need to actually kind of go inside the pointer. So I'm over on the left, that we created on the Rust side. So we've got cells pointer, which is the pointer we created, and then create an array that refers to the number of cells, and then we can go in and convert them to JavaScript objects, or things that are sort of similar to JavaScript objects. Now here is actually a reason why I'd say we also need to access this memory thing. Now this is the wrong file again. It's WASM life. One time in the future I'm going to remember that I shouldn't actually touch the original stuff. And I'm going to, so I've got this other helper function. Draw cells exists now, that's positive. And so I can call draw grid and draw cells, and then I can remender it. So let's try again. So this is on the left is what we want. On the right I've got failed to compile. Okay. Oh, I've got some smiles. Yay. Error cannot resolve WASM life. It's probably because the names of my package are different. Oh goodness me, I have a lot of JavaScripty stuff in here. I don't care about node modules. I do not want that expanded. Okay, so I just need to rename the, oh, what? No, go away. Why am I in git blame? How do I get out of it? Thanks VS Code, you're very helpful right now. Honestly, go away. Okay, so I'm gonna load your WASM live, WASM game, WASM live. Cannot resolve the if. Compiled successfully. Hurrah! Hooray! Okay, and now we want to refresh this page. Ta-da! We get nothing. Oh, whoops! Like it was never going to work just without bugs, right? Like naturally, it just had to fail. The thing that I hate is like it always fails so publicly. Ah, why did that not work? Come on. As an aside, I don't care about hash life. I care about any life. And at the moment, all I have is dead cells. Oh well. See you, Debbie. Thank you so much for dropping by. Good luck with the job interview. I am going to pause there because I can see that a number of people watching the stream has kind of like slowly been trending down over the last half an hour. I strongly recommend that you try out this tutorial yourself. And it's been fun hanging out on stream. So with that, I am going to say goodbye. Again, yeah, so it's been a really fun couple hours hanging out. I've enjoyed it, and I hopefully will get some more feedback from everyone. Okay, so if you have any comments, just let me know. If you don't, then just feel free to go. Okay, so if you want to get in contact, the easiest way is actually Twitter. So surprise, surprise, my Twitter account is pretty easy to find. It's 10 clicks as well. And with that, I am gonna sign out. Okay, so lovely to chat. Bye.